Now, usually whenever you hear the term anniversary, you use it to actually document a certain thing or things. For example, how long it's been since you first got with the girlfriend that you're currently with. How many years it's been since you've gotten married. How long it's been since you started at the job that you're currently at. Or how long it's been perhaps since you graduated from college or high school. Whatever the occasion may be, the anniversary is usually done on the year. And usually, as they start to pile up, they start to pertain to more importance, take on more importance, so to speak. So 20th anniversaries are something that a lot of couples are not able to make it to. It's something that many people don't see whenever it comes to anniversaries. In reality, a birthday is like an anniversary, and if that were to be the case, that would mean 2009 was my silver anniversary since I turned 25. However, Pantera's Cowboys from Hell, on the other hand, is reaching 20. It's its 20th birthday this year, and it's something that's extremely important. It's kind of the same type of vein as my video for Mother Love Bone's Apple. The only difference is that Mother Love Bone's Apple was their only album, the only that they would ever get the chance to release. And its taste or landmark position in the hierarchy of music is quite different than that of Pantera's, as this was not only their debut album, was not their debut album, but also was not at all their only album. And yes, both statements actually ring as correct. That's something I'll get to later. So Cowboys in Hell actually is what ushered into a brand new era for heavy metal music. This is something where you can see the eras of hair metal and glam metal really starting to wind down, and grunge is starting to take off a little bit. You can see the cogs turning for Nirvana to release Nevermind, to have the grunge overlords take control, and have alternative rock of the 1990s really sweep in and kind of exit stage left the metal groups that really dominated the late 1980s. However, Pantera's Cowboys from Hell was something that was quite revolutionary, not only to the music scene but also to the band itself. Now, let's get actually to the album itself firstly. This is an album that already, whenever you consider all of the greatest albums of all time, this is one that you definitely have to put on the list. It's not so much because every single song is something that's going to punch you square in the throat and actually remind you just who the fuck it is, but it was because it was so vastly different. It was something that was aggressive yet melodic. It was something that had a lot of balls, a lot of grit, but at the same time really maintained a strict formula of melody, and one that had an extreme talent really come full circle and really first grazed the public eye on a wide scale, and that of course being the guitar work of Dimebag Darrell. Now, one thing that should be noted about Phil Anselmo, for those of you who remember his vocals later on in the other Pantera albums that followed Cowboys from Hell, as well as his vocals from Down, there are some higher vocals on this particular record, and this is something that perplexes a lot of people. There's actually a shrill on a couple of tracks that is something that seems somewhat uncharacteristic if you listen to the remainder of the discography after this particular record, and there's reasons for this. However, those reasons, once again, I'll get into here in a couple of moments. One of the biggest reasons why this album was a success was because of the singles. For one, the single that everybody seemed to talk about at the time was Cowboys from Hell. Wait, hold on. Let me actually give you the facts. Cowboys from Hell was a single. It's something that you still hear on the radio every so often to this day, but very, very rarely. However, a lot of people discovered this song thanks to Guitar Hero, the first one. Yeah, this is a song that was one of the harder songs that you got, and one of the very few metal tracks that you were able to play in the game, along with one from Black Label Society, I believe one from Ozzy Osbourne, and maybe an Iron Maiden song. I actually don't recall. However, this is one of those songs where if you tried it on medium or hard without ever playing the game before, you were bound to do Dimebag Darrell a grave injustice. So Cowboys from Hell has got kind of this really kick-in-your-teeth sound to it, and something that is very easily recognizable to a metal listener. Something where if you've listened to this album and you've known about it over the past 20 years that it's been around, it's no surprise to you that this is one of the most beloved songs in their entire discography. However, at the same time, it pales in comparison to the true driving force of this particular album. And that, of course, is the song Cemetery Gates. The song is haunting. It has a brooding atmosphere to it, something that's eloquently put by Dimebag Darrell's signature squeals, something that is atmospherically transformed right before your very eyes into something that's a very dark, a very morgy sense, almost enveloping that whole cemetery theme, only to thrash into one hell of a kick-in-the-face song. You can hear Phil Anselmo use his strongest vocals perhaps to date at that particular point in this particular track. This is where he was not at all a very unilateral singer. He was very dynamic. You could hear it. Whenever you hear the verses of this particular track, where he's using that low, that calm Phil voice, that voice that is extremely melodic and is able to retain the melody with exceptional grace, and then transforms into a raging beast whenever we head towards the chorus, and then finally really go into beast mode, go into panther mode, the Pantera mode, so to speak, whenever you hear that final gates right there at the end. I would try to replicate it, but that would be an insult to him and all of you. Cemetery Gates is the song that I think is what really drove me further and further into the Pantera discography and the Pantera lore. And that is where we're going to actually take a radical change. It's obvious what this album means to the metal community, so I don't have to describe that to you. Instead, I have to take this time. I have to actually taint the 20th anniversary of the release of Cowboys from Hell because of a problem that I'm noticing with a lot of new Pantera fans. They go to their local store, such as the FYE, and they think that Cowboys from Hell is the first album that Pantera ever put out. This is very incorrect and something that I've had to correct countless amounts of people on. It's actually their fifth release. They had released a number of CDs throughout the 1980s as more of a power metal outfit. And surprisingly enough, I plan on doing all of the Pantera releases in the coming weeks. And I will include those 4 that came previous to Cowboys from Hell. But let me tell you, that's so much I don't really mind. It's something that I don't mind very much because it's not so much a term as a disrespect, more so as it is actually just plain old ignorance and unknowing. What it is these people who claim to be Pantera experts who don't know this fact. Those people that claim to walk up to me and say, "This is Pantera's first album. I can't wait to listen to it. I've never listened to it, but I heard it's great. I'm going to go wait to Pantera's first album." And I have to slap him in the face and be like, "This is not Pantera's first album, you dumb meathead. Apparently your IQ is about the same as the release date of Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, which is 68. Which means you're below Forrest Gump, in case you're not following this metaphor." So these are the people that are extremely ignorant to the fact, and they will not accept any other argument to the contrary, even if that argument actually is correct. They're so dead set on their ways and believe that since that's the first one that's available with the earliest release date out of all, that it must be the first. There would be no reason why Pantera albums would actually be hidden from plain view from the 1980s. There would be no reason why there would be anything prior to Cowboys from Hell. This is whenever everything took shape and form. Well, of course, you and I both know that that's not the case, metal fans. And because of this, the 20th anniversary of Cowboys from Hell actually takes on a heightened significance, because this shows that this band decided that instead of continuing with their ways on the 1980s, that they were going to step it up a notch. They were going to crank it up to 11. They were going to experiment with their sound one final time, and by golly, if it didn't work, what the fuck could have happened? History itself would have been completely changed, and metal would have been different as a whole. But the thing is that Cowboys from Hell was a success. Not to mention it led to further successes. Far Beyond Driven, The Great Southern Trendkill, just to name a few. Reinventing the Steel, before, of course, the untimely split. And let's face it, it also helped Dimebag Darrell become such the beloved character that he was, that whenever he was tragically gunned down by Nathan Gale in that nightclub over in Ohio, that it was a lamented day. The likes of such should be mourned, such as a Martin Luther King Day with its own holiday, a metal holiday for Dimebag Darrell. However, with that all said, let's actually just sit back and let's commemorate let's commemorate Pantera's awesome achievement here in the 20th anniversary of Cowboys from Hell. Pop on the goddamn CD and rock out and have some awesome memories to it. Thanks, guys.